The Gary Comer Youth Center sits in the Grand Crossing neighborhood, which is on the south side of Chicago. This project started out really as a building for the South Shore Drill Team, which is it's a performance troupe of kids age 8 to 18, and they perform on stage and in parades. And the building really started out because Gary wanted a place for them to practice. They were kind of stuffed into little rooms all over town, and since they had had such a positive impact on the community, Gary wanted to do something for them. It quickly expanded to grow into a youth center. So the key theme there was kind of education. Basically the way the design worked in my office, I started out, I do sketches, drawings, and from those make little sketch models. And we looked at maybe 5 or 6 different organizations and reviewed those with the client. And then as we get into more detailed drawings, bring more people on the team. So ultimately the team was about 5 or 6 people, each working on different things. So one person might be working on the elevations, one person might be working on sections, another on plans, another on models or renderings. The design process that we follow in the office is a very iterative approach. So we look at a lot of things very quickly at the beginning of the process. So we looked at quickly looked at 10 or 12 different schemes, narrowed that down to 4, and then presented those to the owner. And then what seemed to make sense is the partee or the diagram that you see here, where the drill team's spaces were in the center of the building, and then wrapping around those was these bars of kind of programmatically indeterminate space where we could plug in different programs as we developed the project. The whole concept of the building kind of came out of that, in that we had to kind of create this flexible space that could change and adapt to different uses, such that we could keep designing and moving forward and designing the building and even building the building, but those programs could come in as they found partners and those programs came online. But one of the issues when we were designing the youth center was Gary Comer did not feel that the neighborhood had a really strong identity. So I felt like the building had to really engage the community, it had to be a landmark in the community, and it had to really speak to the youth and optimism of the center. And the materials and the skin and the feeling of space, the proportion of space and the amount of glass inside all contribute to creating a place that is special and made especially for them. The building has an LED tower, and the purpose of that was twofold. One was to create almost a symbol of centering. So much like analogous to a church steeple in a medieval town marks the center of the town. So we wanted to have some kind of element that you could see from anywhere in Grand Crossing and say, okay, there's the youth center. I think too many of the buildings built for education in the past 20 years have been dumbed down and played down to the students, and they were modeled after shopping malls. And I think what architects did was say, oh, let's think of a place that kids like to be. They like to go shop. They like to go to the mall. So let's make the school look like the mall, which was absolutely the wrong approach. And as a result, the buildings had no dignity. They didn't make the kids feel important, and they didn't inspire the students. So there has to be a sense of an inspiration. A certain amount of buildings are important in the way they make you feel when you walk inside, and so they have to be inspirational in that way, so that the student in a way has to kind of live up to the expectations that the building sets for the student.